Our beloved little Tiger Thyron is back, and whether or not you like it, as of right now, she is an albeit small upgrade for many Rupture-based teams, being the best in slot choice for Yijuan and Manato, although some alternatives do in fact exist. As for Yetari, well, Ju Fufu is good for her, but there is some small nuance to it, so we will talk more about that later into the guide. Regardless, however, Fufu is a really good addition to many accounts, as she can also simply slot nicely into many non-Rupture teams. So let's talk about her kit and how she plays, her best weapons, destroys and destroys sets, her main and substats, her new and updated teams and Mindscapes, and lastly, let's also talk about her pros and cons. Welcome! I'm Rivenous, and this is your complete, updated, in-depth guide to Ju Fufu. LD Shop is a safe and reliable top-up site for your favorite games, such as Zenless Zone Zero, Honkai Star Rail, Withering Waves, or Genshin Impact. Created by LD Player, LD Shop offers you affordable prices, even up to 30% off, through official ways and does not require any account credentials. Your server and UID are enough. Spend over $80 and you get to claim an internet membership for free every month. LD Shop is trustworthy, provides a fast delivery within minutes, and as you can see by the huge amount of positive reviews, is also safe and reliable. To make sure you can safely acquire your new favorite agent and don't have to worry about losing the ugly 50-50, go and claim your deals directly today, before it is too late. So go directly to ldshop.gg using my link in the description or pinned comment and save money today. Use my link and you will receive a 15% off and a 5% off coupon. Thank you LD Shop for sponsoring this video. Ju Fufu is a fire-type stun agent who excels at providing daze by casting her inactive aftershock chain attacks while also buffing your entire team's chain, ultimate and crit damage, with the latter depending on her initial attack stat, just like Astra. She is fortunately really easy to play, and to understand this better, let's talk about her kit first. Ju Fufu features a 4-part basic attack string, and similar to Chingy, by spamming her basic attack button during her basic 3, she will continue to claw at her enemies in front and then follow up with her basic 4 when let go. We don't actually really want to use her regular basic attacks unless you have Blazing Laurel, in which case we use them to open combat to stack it faster. But it is not only her who will actually basic attack, as she also comes with her mechanical pet Huwei. Huwei is her little mechanical tiger here who will stay on field even if she isn't, and he will attack a nearby enemy every 4 seconds. This attack will also generate 20 might. So what is might? Good question. Ju Fufu has 2 unique resources, might and momentum. Might is displayed right below her HP bar as per usual, and it caps out at a maximum of 200 points. When Ju Fufu has at least 100 might if she is off field, she will then automatically cast her second chain attack and consume 100 might. This chain attack is considered an aftershock. Aside from that, it really is just a chain attack, so there is not really much else to say here. It deals damage and is also her primary way of inflicting daze outside of her EX special and ultimate. Her second resource is momentum, and it is displayed below her HP bar as well, but with this little buff icon. Her EX special, ultimate and assist follow-up grant her 3, 6 and 1 momentum respectively. If she has at least 1 momentum after using her inactive chain attack, she will then mount her tiger, activate her inactive dash attack called Tiger 7 Forms, and she will start to spin repeatedly at the enemy. Every spin will consume 1 momentum, generates 25 might, and she will remain in this state until no momentum is left. Momentum is capped at a maximum of 15, although I am not entirely sure how to effectively reach that number unless you actively on-field her or you are in the VR. Anyway, as for her core passive, whenever Ju Fufu casts her inactive chain attack, she will grant all squad members Tiger's War for 30 seconds, a buff which provides 20% chain attack damage bonus, 40% ultimate damage bonus and up to 50% crit damage, 20% added space, and an additional up to 30% depending on her initial attack, starting at 2800 and capping out at 3400. Lastly, while she is buffed, she will also give herself 50 flat combat impact. As already mentioned earlier, her ultimate will grant her 6 momentum, but also 100 might, and her EX special gives her 3 momentum and 80 might. As for her additional ability, she requires either an attack or rupture agent, and when that condition is fulfilled, the maximum decibels for the entire team will be increased to 4000 points, and whenever an attack or rupture agent uses an ultimate, she will refund 300 decibels to them. Lastly, a note or two about Hu Wei, again that is her pet. Since he is a separate entity, while Hu Wei is present on the field, you can effectively reach an effective 16% combat attack on Kaboom from your support. Secondly, while Ju Fufu casts her Fury Spin, again that is this attack consuming her momentum, or while casting her Chain Attack, Hu Wei is not actively on field anymore, and that means he can also not attack during this time. That also means Ju Fufu is not off field during this time, and that impacts the energy gain from the likes of Hellfire Gears. And that mainly covers her kit. Unfortunately for us, her daze is distributed all throughout her entire kit, so if you're aiming for a maximum output of daze and damage, you likely want to level all of them pretty high. If not, however, your skill priority will be core and chain, into EX special and basics, into assist, and lastly dodge. While her dash attacks are part of her dodge, the damage and daze they deal are pretty low, so the skill levels here don't really matter too much. Let's talk about her combos. Is what I would usually say here, but well, she doesn't really have any combos. She really boils down to press EX special or ultimate, parry if applicable, and ignore her for the rest of the time. Technically, there are specific tags you can do to skip or delay certain boss mechanics or phases, such as with Wanderer or Miasma Priest, but that is not really something specific to Ju Fufu, but rather more so boss specific and hence out of scope for this guide. So we will just skip that part and instead directly skip forwards to her weapons. Arguably, Ju Fufu has 3 best in slot options, each for a different reason. The first is her signature Roaring Furnace, which helps her out massively in terms of damage as well as making her really easy to build, and hence Roaring Furnace is the best generalist option for her. The second is Blazing Laurel, which can provide more days depending on the matchup and how you play, while also giving more fire and ice crit damage to the team. Blazing Laurel is the general best choice for her when played with the likes of Manato, Yetadi, Evelyn, Soldier 11 and Orphe. Since the attacks from Hu Wei are considered a basic attack, and her being able to pre-stack Blazing Laurel at the beginning of combat very fast due to her basic 3 swipes, not only can you get the full 30 stacks rather quickly, but also maintain it while she is off field. Please keep in mind the general best choice for these units does not mean always. For example, if you plan to skip the Miasma phase of Priest or Wanderer, Blazing Laurel will very likely do worse than her signature or even her third best option, Fossilized Core. Fossilized Core is another option and honestly just a hidden S-rank stun W engine. It provides the most days for the first 20,000 points in Deadly Assault at the cost of about 20% crit damage from her core. Running attack percent in slot 6 will allow you to reach a much higher crit damage buff, but her days will drop down to about the same as her signature, which, to be fair, is still really good, mind you. Fossilized Core is the best choice if you are struggling to skip phases of various bosses and can hence still result in a much higher score than her other options, even if she now provides less buffs to the team. Without her signature, unless you have absolute god tier stats, you will likely need to trade either days or damage to actually hit the initial 3400 attack to achieve the maximum crit damage buff from her core skill. I want to emphasize that this is absolutely not a requirement, and it is totally okay to, well, not hit that. Any more attack above 2800 is a bonus and not a requirement. Generally speaking, no other weapon can reach the same damage potential for herself as her signature can, but speaking purely in terms of days, any S-rank weapon, even the standard ones, can achieve the same day's results while not losing too much crit damage from her core. And that one you can always make up for by simply playing the long game and getting more attack percent substats. As a side note on Hellfire gears, because she is rather often on field while inactive, she does not gain much from the off-field energy regeneration because, well, she is not off-field. As for disc drive sets, a 4-piece King of the Summit is her best in slot and I would not recommend running anything else, hence also no calculations. Due to her frequent inactive chain attacks, she can easily proc and sustain the set even during the enemy stun window without her having to actually use her normal chain or even her EX special. As for a 2-piece, it depends. If a 2-piece Shockstar Disco helps you hit a 4th stun, run that one. It is the one which I personally would recommend. If not, either a 2-piece Woodpecker can help you hit the 50% crit rate threshold, for 4-piece Summit, or a 2-piece Astral Voice or Hormone Punk are really valid choices as well if you are short on attack for her core passive. For the substats, prioritize crit rate until 50%, as well as attack percent and flat attack until a maximum of 3400. After that you can aim for more crit damage and lastly flat pen. If you run her signature, crit rate in slot 4, attack percent in slot 5 and impact in slot 6 will give you the best results if your substats allow for it. Since her damage contribution is not the greatest anyway, however, running attack percent in slot 4 is a really good option if you're short on attack, but because we are running King of the Summit, we want to make sure to hit the 50% crit rate threshold, so whether you choose attack percent or crit rate will depend heavily on your substats. Just make sure you hit the 50% crit rate. With any other S-rank weapon, I would recommend attack percent in slot 4 and 5 and impact in slot 6. Again, given enough crit rate substats, otherwise prioritize crit rate in slot 4. If you're using any A-rank weapon, either go for a triple attack percent layout if you cannot hit 4 stuns regardless, or attack percent in slot 4 and 5 with impact in slot 6 if you are able to hit 4 stun windows. This will, however, mostly be the case for Fossilized Core anyway, as the additional days from it multiplies with the impact from slot 6 as well as from her core passive. Lastly, if you have no crit rate whatsoever, a layout of crit rate in slot 4 and attack percent in slot 5 and 6 is an option, but only do this if you A, cannot hit 4 stun windows regardless, and B, have more than suboptimal substats. By that I mean, I don't know, they are complete dog shit. Anyway, generally speaking, unless you run her signature, I would always recommend checking whether or not you are able to hit 4 stuns with impact in slot 6, and if not, you are always better off running attack percent in slot 6 instead. This will depend largely on the matchup and how you play. That also can mean simply skill issues. I really cannot give you a set and forget recommendation here. You will need to check this for yourself and possibly also simply change your slot 6 main stat depending on the matchup. Ju Fufu's Mindscape 1 is very good, not only helping her out with 12% more crit rate, which makes building her much easier, but also providing an additional 35% stun damage multiplier. This is especially strong when looking at Yijuan, Manato, Yetari and Evelyn, who deal a majority of their damage during the stun window. Although thinking about it, like most units actually nowadays deal a majority of the damage during the stun window except Anomaly, so this applies to all of them. Anyway, her M2 gives an additional 22% crit damage to the team, but more importantly also grants her 3 momentum anytime any ally uses an ultimate. Effectively, this translates into 75 might for every ultimate usage. Due to her refunding decibels with up to 11 ultimates per fight, this is an effective 825 additional might, which also means it has the potential to double the amount of inactive chain attacks she does. On top, this Mindscape is also much better with characters who have multiple ultimates, and by that I mean Yijuan. Or if they were to release a character that allows for more team ultimates. TLDR, her M2 basically guarantees 4 stun windows. Since the question will come up, her M1 and M2 are both much better than her signature is, and her M2 is especially good with Yijuan. Hence, if you are thinking about investing more into her, I would recommend her Mindscape 1 and Mindscape 2 over her signature. Her M3 and M5 exist, and so does her Mindscape 4. Her M6 is a significant personal damage gain, but it does not do a lot for her days or for the team. Oh boy, Ju Fufu has so many teams I am physically not able to list them all on the screen. She is such a generically good stunner that she fits into essentially every team that is not Anomaly, even if she might be superseded by other choices. Ju Fufu is the generally best in slot choice for Minato, Yijuan and Yetari, however there is quite a bit of nuance here, especially for Yetari. A large part of Minato's damage profile comes from his ultimate and chain attacks, and guess what Ju Fufu buffs? Right, crit damage. Well, and chain attacks and ultimates. Additionally, she also provides an increased decibel cap, a decibel refund, shares the fire element with Minato, which makes her particularly good in his best matchups, those being Wanderer and Pompey, and she also inflicts most of her days while being inactive, which allows for additional field time on Minato, which he really appreciates as he needs enough adrenaline for his EX special during the stun window. Overall, Fufu and Minato are an exceptional team, and while other options such as Chingy, Trigger or Collida exist, Ju Fufu is his best in slot choice as of right now. If you want to know more about Minato and how to play him with Ju Fufu, check out my Minato guide right here. The same can essentially be also said about Yijuan, except the fire element that is. If you know exactly what you are doing, you can make an argument that Chingy is actually a better choice over Fufu full Yijuan, but for the average player that is simply not gonna be the case. Fufu allows for the field time Yijuan likes to build up her talisman resource to then unload both of her ultimates during the stun window, while also making sure Yijuan does not waste her decibels when saving her ultimate for said stun. Overall, they are a fantastic pair, and for most people, Ju Fufu will be an upgrade over existing stunners such as Chingy and Trigger, but she is replaceable. Ju Fufu works great for Yetari, but might arguably not be her best in slot choice. As of right now, Yetari has essentially one boss, that being the Wanderer, and while she can very likely do well versus marionettes as well, that boss hasn't seen the light ever since 2.0. Due to the combat design of Wanderer and the 30-second timer on Yetari's ultimate after triggering Ether Veil, the decibel refund can sometimes actually lead to you missing out on Yetari's ultimate due to triggering Ether Veil a few seconds early. This is however very much a min-max issue, and if you want just to play a set and forget stunner option, Ju Fufu will work fantastic with her. If you want to know more about Yetari, check out the guide right here. Ju Fufu is not the best in slot choice for Evelynn. That would be Lighter to nobody's surprise, but she is one of the better choices for her and a great alternative to Lighter if you do not have him. Evelynn's damage comes primarily from her chains and partially also her ultimate, and Ju Fufu does buff both. I don't really have much more to say about this team, it works great, but Lighter is better. Soldier 11 also appreciates Ju Fufu, and while Evelynn really wants Astra, Soldier 11 does not require Astra as much. Which means you can also play Ju Fufu with Lighter and free Astra for another team. If you have Orphe, Soldier 11, Ju Fufu and Orphe are yet another option, and if you're into main DPS Orphe, Lighter and Ju Fufu also build a solid core for her. While Trigger is a far superior choice over Ju Fufu for a Sanbi Orphe team, Ju Fufu can still work well and serve as a solid replacement for Trigger while still being better than Pulchra. And lastly, Ju Fufu will do well enough for Yugo, Alan, Corrin or Nekomata as well, even if there are better options in place for these units. But they do deserve a mention, we all love our Nekomata after all, right? With that said, let's end the video on her pros and cons. Ju Fufu is a relatively free-to-play friendly stun agent who does not need her weapon and has many other great alternatives available if you are willing to play the long game to achieve her maximum buffs. She is also incredibly easy to play and is a great general inactive stunner who can slot into many teams while providing generic buffs to all of them. She does not necessarily outperform other options in most teams, but she is at the very least a very good and competitive alternative, while still being the best in slot choice for most players in many Rupture teams. Her playstyle is simple, but she has some room for optimization, especially in regards to her resource management and general gameplay routing. Her M1 and M2 are really good if you are looking to invest more into her. Lastly, due to her days being distributed all throughout her kit, she is however relatively expensive to invest into. And with that said, we are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment on whether or not you will be going for Ju Fufu or her signature or not, and don't forget to join the Discord. A special thanks to my YouTube and Patreon members who make this content possible. If you wish to support me, you will find a link to my Patreon in the description. And as always, I appreciate all of you and wish you a great day. Peace.